Good morning, Yann, or should I say good evening to you?
Good night. Good night it is. I see my
Um,
brother's in the chat as well.
I see that. He said you mentioned it this week, so of course,
Of course.
welcome everyone and everyone. If you missed last week's chat, I put it on YouTube a little earlier today. It's got our video like this, and then off to the side, it's got me working on a painting I was working on last week, and then notifies you when we start talking about east to west because I have the first volume off to the side, and it's scrolling back and forth for the cover art. So if you don't want to be privy to the east and west talk, that's how we're going to be doing it on YouTube now. So you can avoid them if you're looking to avoid spoilers. So with that being said, Jan, go ahead and introduce yourself and where people should find you over the web.
Well, I go by the name of Yanimal. My name is Yann, and I'm working on a little comic book called Phosphor. So if you'd like to keep track of what I'm up to these days, which is all of the colors, you can do so right here on Instagram, or you can head over to YouTube. There's a couple of years worth of videos if you want to come up to speed. And lately I'm posting a little bit on a WordPress site just for fun, just to get the writing going a little bit, and just to keep posting things regularly
Yeah, I was
that is
going to
a little
mention
bit
that
more
because you just
long
posted
form.
last week about your coloring process over there, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I put up a longer blog post yesterday that goes into what we were talking about last week and some new ideas I've been having this weekend that I'd like to share with you.
Nice. Man, it every time you say you're going to be adding more stuff and I'm just like, I just need this comic in my hands as quick as possible. And then you turn out these new pages you've been doing, and I was like, all right, I can wait a little bit longer, but not much longer. It's looking awesome, brother. I really am so enthused to see this whole thing finished. Um, but do you have any YouTube videos coming up late or soon, or are you just going to be sticking
No,
to WordPress for the most part?
you know, I at some you know at some point I kind of got so bummed out that my phone wasn't working properly anymore that I kind of just let it go.
Yeah.
And I have another phone lying that has a pretty decent camera, like one of those Chinese Huawei phones.
Okay.
Um, and I even got the workflow worked out on how to edit on that phone or move things over via Bluetooth to this phone or to my Mac. Um, but again, it's all super time consuming. And
Oh, so the Huawei, that's not Apple, is it?
no,
Not compatible?
and
That would be a pain in the
oh
neck.
no, well, it's compatible. I mean, worst comes to worst, I can do it. And I've actually made some videos, and it was interesting to see how Android does things. But overall, even though my iPhone is like, 4 years old or something, and that one is only like a year and a half old, but like the difference in quality is just obvious. Like
Yeah.
when it comes to video and editing in video, just in iMovies, like Apple, everything is just super smooth. And on that phone, everything is like, well, you're gonna have to figure it out yourself. You're gonna
Hmm.
have to find an app. You're gonna have to learn the app, and all there's a couple of apps that are all pretty good, but none of them offer you everything super fast and easy. Like there's a problem with every one of them.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, like that phone, the pictures are awesome, but the video quality, like it keeps dropping frames for no reason.
Hmm.
Like there's tons of stuff where just the like it's just not a smooth experience. So
Yeah, and I mean we've given Apple crap in the past for not innovating so much the last few years, but I mean this phone that I'm on right now is my 5-year-old 6 Plus, and it's just a workhorse at this point.
yeah,
Um, and then I've got my XS Max, and it's not that much differing quality, but like over and the the Android million apps to choose from, and there's not really a concise thing to go after. I'm so happy with iPad or iMovie and how it just works across
Yeah,
all the platforms. Like,
it's I do understand like the people who love Android over Apple. I mean, on the one hand, it's one of those whatever you're accustomed to, you
mhm.
figure that out, and then once you got to figure it out, like you're not inclined to switch. Like you
Oh
don't
yeah,
want
sure.
to relearn everything, and I think that's true. But I'm also like I don't constantly want to like deep dive into programs to do something really basic.
Yeah.
And so I can understand that some people really appreciate you being able to tinker with everything, but at the same time, it's like I have this old phone, and what still works on it, works like a dream, and I have the latest software, and it's awesome. It's just that the front-facing camera, the focus, and all that has given up on me. That's all.
Yeah.
So
And
you
I
know,
mean, you'll have that after a few years.
yeah. But
If you're if you're not aware, I'm Ox. This is my
yes,
Instagram page. You can find me over on YouTube, Twitter. I'm most active, all under the same username. So find me there. I've even started streaming on Twitch last week as I was painting. You can find me there, the Samurai Ox. Um, but yeah, this last week has been pretty crazy. How about you?
well, how do you mean? Like just work-wise, quarantine-wise?
A little bit work wise. It really wasn't all that bad for quarantine issues, but um, getting caught up in the daily goings on and like trying to make things work for sure.
But I mean, I'm hearing crazy stuff about Iowa meat plants over here. So
Oh my God.
yeah,
So, with the lockdown, there were, I think it was two big processing plants had cases of COVID-19 and
hmm
completely shut everything down, and like that backlogged them for a good 2 weeks or whatever. And now there's shortages everywhere. I think Wendy's was the first one to notice it, and then at that point, it was a mad dash to try and get them back online and
yeah.
back up and running. But
But I mean, getting them. Why is my light going off? Getting them back online. I mean, if they have lots of cases, shouldn't they just stay shut?
you'd figure as much, but and I think with that disparity, a lot of the butchers around here, like,
Yeah,
so the problem is now that since those packaging plants, like, or processing plants took a few weeks off, like, farmers couldn't sell their livestock
yeah. Like
because they couldn't get them processed. So
yeah,
now they're selling them off next to nothing.
yeah,
Um, and I want to say like all the butcher shops around here are backlogged till September or October already. So like it's madness that people are able to scoop up close to nothing whole hogs and such, and then they can't get them processed for like a couple months because of everybody thought this was going to be the next big hurrah that everybody be looking out for, so
mhm,
they ducked and headed the other way. So it's kind of weird how these trends are kind of following the hysteria involved with
yeah.
everything. So I don't know. It's pure madness.
But that kind of so what you're saying is like the infrastructure for food processing in the whole of U.S. Like there's a major road going through Iowa.
Mm-hmm. For
And so
sure.
if Iowa shuts down, like,
And I think that was what everybody's been afraid of. Like, I know a few states near us have gone to full lockdown, stay at home orders. Like, and I think when it started out, our governor was like, "We're definitely not going to be doing that. I mean, people should know not to go out and whatnot." And for the most part, they don't.
yeah,
I haven't seen many big gatherings, and like even friends. there's only a couple of them that get together and play music for live streaming on Facebook, but other than that, it's pretty locked down for the most part. So I think that was the big reason why we never got the stay in home order, shelter in place orders. That's the one.
Shelter.
Um, but yeah, it's wild to think that I think they're opening up the entire state back up the 15th, so in
Same here.
the end of the week. So, oh, are you
Yeah.
guys finally out of your shelter in
Well,
place?
to be honest, I'm kind of. I think it's kind of like they're just gonna, they'll let us know soon. But officially, as of the 15th, certain industries will be allowed to go back to work.
Okay. Are you
And
included in that?
well, so far, there's certain entire cities that are going to stay in lockdown, and then so Manila wasn't on that list. So I think it means the capital is going to slowly open for business. But we're talking like construction workers; they get to go first because there's not a lot of interaction with streams of people there. But shopping malls, they're going to start looking at shopping malls. Um, so yeah, we have to wait and see. But for me personally, we're not going back to the office for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That makes a lot of sense,
unfortunately,
and I'm glad
yeah,
because obviously you're going to be able to do more work from home. So it's weird how I've been seeing things where like companies have said that this wasn't possible, and then quarantine happened, and they're like, "Well, let's do it this way," and like now companies are realizing that this is totally the way that things can be done, and like I think it's cool to see that the earth is getting kind of a break and it's kind of healing. Like it's weird how LA has been like smog free for like a month now, and like cool things like that.
yeah,
um I think a little of this cabin sickness is worth giving us just a little bit of
I,
reprieve from all the pollution and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Well, when it comes to pollution, it's like I don't think people generally realize just how much we pollute and how much really is us. Like you can, like when you're always living under pollution, you think that that's just the way things are. And
Yeah.
then only 1 month of everyone staying at home was enough to clear. Like there's dolphins in Barcelona. I mean
That's
it's crazy.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big thing when in the 90s when I was really young. I remember seeing all the political cartoons making fun of LA for being smog ridden, and like I never gave it any notice until a few weeks back when they're like no smog for at least a couple weeks, and it's like
Hmm.
damn, like to think nearly my entirety of life like that there's just been a cloud looming over LA full of
Yeah.
smog. So it is wild to think that the little reprieve the earth is getting caused by us is due to like some wild out of hand type thing. So but yeah. Speaking of which, what did you get done this last week then?
I've got another 2 pages done, and I send you the purple pages.
Dope,
And
dope.
I just started on, well, I've got 2 new pages lined up, but I don't think they're going to be side by side. Those are the ones.
This is
So,
maybe my favorite scene of the entire first issue. So yeah, I'll have this scrolling on the side so you can get a little bit better picture of it. But you want to explain what's going on here?
there's a bit of a, so in this first issue, you get introduced to a lot of people, and so we get to see them at work and what they're,
Is this
like
the
what
first
their
time we're
job.
getting a glimpse of these two in the issue?
No, they've already been introduced in a similarly colored scene, which is why I'm able, like as I'm getting towards the end of the first issue, I'm going faster and faster because ever since Marsh pointed out on the show we attempted on his channel, he gave this hint of like limiting the palette. That's something they do for movies and TV shows. Ever since he dropped that hint, like it really just clicked, And so as I'm progressing through the first issue, I've now got the palettes for different scenes, different locations down. So like just today, the new page, like I've already got all the base colors in because I just borrowed the colors from the, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
I just borrowed the colors from
And this
those
is just flatted, right?
palettes from the other scene. This is just flat, yeah. So that's going to go pretty fast.
That's awesome, man. I'm so excited. Like, the work you're doing is immense. Like, I just got done reading Stokoe's Godzilla earlier today, and like,
Godzilla, I haven't read.
oh my god! So it's much like Alien, which we did read together.
Yeah.
Um,
The Alien one was
he's got
awesome.
crazy amounts of detail, just packed in page after page,
Yeah.
and like, it took me so much longer to read this just one trade of his than
Mm.
it did like the last 4 or 5 Godzilla trades that I've done, because like most of them are like big monster running around causing ruckus, but like his are, look at this incredibly detailed Godzilla wrecking this entirely detailed city. Like, it's madness to think how much detail he gets jammed into every page, and it's gorgeous for sure. And like he's
Does
got those
he?
same limited palette like he used in Alien, so like
Yeah.
Stokoe's the man.
But does he color Godzilla as well? Does he do everything? Or?
I want to say he does. I'm pretty sure all the art and everything is him. So
Yeah.
let me just
Because
double
that
check
that
real.
that kind of blew my mind for Alien. Like when you look at the credits and it's like, oh my God, like he did almost everything, like lettering everything.
Yeah, I mean he did the whole story, so let
Yeah.
me double check. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, story and art are by Stokoe.
Yes, sir.
Um, Looks like color assists are Heather Breckle, but everything else is him. And like that's the opening shot. Look at
Yeah,
the
looks great.
incredibly detailed buildings, Godzilla. Like, it's so crazy how great he is. Like, damn. But yeah, anything other than the couple pages you got done then?
Well, I got some thoughts written down about like what I want to improve and like where I think what I think I'll be working on like the next month. Like I've got 2 more pages that I have to color. Done all the traditional art pages I have. I've got a couple of pages lined up that I have to go over to see if I still need them. There's definitely some pages where I feel like when I'm reading, um, like I feel like one of the things I tend to do in my art is that I tend to zoom in too much, and I need to have a page where you get to see like full body, like pinup style introduction. And I do have those pages, but there's a couple of other scenes where I need to like there's at least 2 pages I need like that for some other characters to properly introduce them. And also just to tie up some of the uh, like I don't want to say subplots, but there are certain subplots that I've moved forward into this comic book, and then I took a scene out, um, and so that kind of leaves some people on some pages hanging, and so I want to make I tie that up neatly by putting in a new page for them.
But to
Not
be
the entire
fair,
7 page
like,
scene, but like
I
you
think
know,
since we've been watching or reading East to West, you could see like even scenes cut in half can be worked well, because like you'll get them in a couple issues later too. So
yeah,
just something to think about.
true.
Um,
Is that a
but
segue
yeah,
or?
it's no, not yet. But we'll get into it. Um, for the most part, I've been working on. I
Yes.
threw around this idea of painting last week and decided to jump on it. Um, let's. So this is a homage cover of Silver Surfer done by Ron Lim. Met him at GalaxyCon back in November. He even signed this one when he saw it. Like,
Huh?
he's such a rad dude. That was done in the 90s, I believe. So I wanted to paint it for the cover. And usually I do an 8x10. But so we're going full size, 16 by
Oh
20.
wow.
And like this was done on Facebook. And you watch last week's video, you can see the work on that one. But
Mm-hmm.
then I was not uh, excited about it and went back and to the drawing board and redid it. And so this is the progress I made on Twitch. And if you go to my Twitch channel, you can see the progress, like from starting sketch to getting that far on it. Really happy with how that came along. Probably going to be jumping on either tonight or tomorrow and finishing up
Mm-hmm.
that painting. It's taken 3 hours so far. I'm expecting another at least three. But what happened is I used up all of my, well, a good portion of my brushes that I need to use for the finer details. Used them up. What's funny is, let me move the camera. Like, this is my Twitch setup. It's just a scissor mic like sandwiched in my closet that hangs over my bed,
Mm-hmm.
shooting down, and like that was enough to jump on. Like it's crazy how long I've held
Yeah.
off on doing it. Um,
How's Twitch? How's the Twitch
Dude, Twitch was
experience?
awesome. Like I was streaming for 3 hours. Like I streamed for an hour on Facebook, and like a
Mm-hmm.
couple people jumped in and like didn't think it was that exciting, so jumped out. But like as soon as I jumped over to Twitch and started redrawing stuff, like there was somebody that was just messing around, and he had actually knew you and came
Oh.
across in the 100-day challenge thing, and we were talking for a good 45 minutes, maybe an hour or longer. Um, just hanging out. Had a couple friends hanging out for the whole time too.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. Like and didn't think I'd be enjoying it so much. But then, like, the emails came from Twitch showing like what it's going to take to be affiliated, and it's like you have to stream for at least a week. You have to stream for at least 8 hours, which is easily doable if you're doing 7 different days. Um, and then you have to have like 50 followers. So if you are on Twitch, if you're looking for cool art streams, I would be so thankful if you added me over there and followed me. Um, it's awesome. I've seen so many Twitch streamers like saying like the first month you won't have anybody watching, and it's like, well, at least I can work towards something over there, whereas Facebook
Mm-hmm.
is really just a gamble and a crapshoot all the time. So,
Yeah.
um, Marv, are you on Twitch then too? Uh, Marv
Marv?
Artwork,
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know. Yeah.
or do you live stream anywhere?
Marv or myself? I don't.
No, no, no. I
I
saw
can't.
you adding me on Twitch. I was asking Marv since he was talking about drawing alone
Uh,
sucks.
he's not.
Yeah, that's for sure. Especially in quarantine mode, like there's not real chances to get out there. You mentioned March earlier. He's still doing about daily um, chat with all kinds of art friends, so that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Those are awesome. Yeah, they're really fun to listen into.
Yeah, and Marv was twice as a guest over there. So if you're at all checking out that stuff, Marsh Makes Art over on YouTube. Check him out, as well as here on Instagram and YouTube. I believe he's on TikTok too. Um,
Marshall's got
but
like 3,000 followers on TikTok. He's
dude,
doing
that's
pretty good.
wild. That is
Yeah.
awesome. I remember him telling me months ago that I should jump on TikTok, and like it's just so overwhelming. Especially getting back into all this stuff. Like that's crazy.
I
I
feel
still
like,
got
I mean, there's fun stuff on TikTok, but I feel like it, it just rots my brain. Like
dude,
it's,
like it is like as there's no certain structure to it, so
no,
like you just
it's,
jump in and like you're just inundated by just multiple videos, and like there's no clear way to navigate them that it's just like, all right,
Yeah,
well, I'll skim through this, skim through, and like you just get caught up like watching them. It's like, no, I need stuff to do. Like I don't need to
yeah.
just be screwing on TikTok for an hour. And it's like,
It's like candy.
yeah, that's for sure. But other than that, I've been doing my digital sketching, and I've got a couple commissions still in the works. I got to get those done this week for sure. But I did rearrange my Patreon this week, which was awesome. That took a good
Yeah.
amount of work,
So what are
but
you
the
up to?
big thing is switching to more of a physical represented goal. And so I'm offering stickers now every month. The
Hmm.
$5 tier for this first month will get you these two. And then up to a $10 tier will get you those two, but this larger holographic one. So um, check that out. I'm on Patreon. The Sam or just Samurai Ox. $5 will get you a couple stickers. 3 will get you the bigger one. I'm not sure how international shipping will happen, but with the smaller stickers, I'm sure it's not going to be that big of a problem. So, um, yeah. Hey, Abe. Um, that's awesome. Marv from Portugal. 5 hours
And
difference.
Abe
Yeah.
from
I think
Arizona.
we decided it was a 13-hour difference for me and you right now.
Yeah,
You're
from
you're
Manila to
already
Iowa.
into the next day into the future.
Yeah, it's like what is it? Like 1:30 in the morning.
That is
You know,
wild and awesome for sure. Um,
it's all,
but yeah, I think that's a good enough segue. So you're planning on getting a couple pages finished up, and then you're gonna start working on your traditional stuff.
so these 2 pages have to be colored, and then yeah, I'm gonna have a read. Um, I have a list of ideas for pages, and then I'll just mark them off and see like what can I get away with just with dialogue, and just because I'm also like like before I set the limit at 24, and now I'm already thinking like, well, 30 pages, but you do have that like one issue limit that you have to
Oh yeah,
keep in mind, right?
for sure.
And I think like comic books should be concise, and it's
Mm-hmm.
actually segue for later, but it is a bit of my one of my complaints about my second trade of East of West. Like you do want to keep the story moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can't stay in one place too long. And in that comic book, like I mean, it's amazing, but like I'm glad I get to read it in trade form and just get a meaty
dude.
chunk.
I couldn't imagine reading it issue by issue because
Yeah,
it's even in the trade form, it's hard to tell where the issue breaks are because like I think every meeting is chopped up into 3 or 4 bits and like just sporadic amongst everything,
yeah.
and it works well for how it is in the trade form. But I couldn't imagine reading this issue by issue for sure.
Well, I feel like it would have been a very different experience, but like I do feel like every chapter or issue has so much fantastic stuff in it that it
Yeah.
would hook you. Like you just feel like, wow, this is amazing.
What's really funny is when you get to the end of the series, the last trade is the last 3 issues, so you will get a taste of that. And it's crazy how much it moves those last 3 issues for sure.
Yeah.
For me, I'm looking to get commissions caught up, digital artwork done. I've got a couple Patreon posts to do, and to finish this painting. I think that's really realistically all I'm going to complete this next week. Um, but I mean, that's still a dandy amount for sure.
And a Twitch affiliation link coming up.
Working, working on it. Hopefully, I can go live a couple times this week. For sure with the painting. I think that's the right place for painting like that. Um, over any other live stream anyway. And then I don't know. I'll figure out something to do online. I think it'd be cool to actually stream some gaming on Twitch, but I've got to figure out what I need to make that necessary because I'm finally joining this current generation and getting an Xbox One as well as a new TV. So we'll see what else I need to do all that stuff.
So,
So that
which one are you getting? Sorry,
the new Xbox. So
the new Xbox. I thought it was
yeah,
coming out for
the
Christmas.
Xbox. No, the Xbox One. So I'm only 4 or 5 years behind, but
Dude, hey, I've like in the last 2 years or so, I finally kind of stepped off the whole like trying to keep up to date and having all the latest gadgets. And it's actually really nice, like being behind the curve and just you get to pick up all the games at like super discounted prices. And
oh
there's
yeah,
so many amazing games that you just like you don't have to rush, you know?
nice.
Like I'm like the game that's been sucking up most of my time, like in the past couple of months, has been Skyrim, which I've had it for like 6 years, and it's so awesome still, you know.
That's
So yeah,
crazy that game has the most legs of anything I've seen for sure.
yeah.
And like
And
it,
I managed to pick up the Spider-Man game on the PlayStation for like I think like $15, like
nice.
super cheap. That
Yeah, I've
game is
heard
so
that's
good.
awesome for sure.
Oh my God, it's so well done. It's like if they had to do a new movie, it's almost as if they took that approach. Well, if we have to do a new movie, like new characters, new actors, and everything, and like a new interpretation, what will we do? And like this is like they go all the way with all the villains, like Mary Jane, with everyone, and it's so well done. Like it is so well done. Like
That's
Mary
right.
Jane is so cool as a side character in this Spider-Man universe. So good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, then let's jump into it. Let's talk a little east of west. With the first volume, you get introduced to the Horseman.
Yes.
Death has gone off on his own. He has went to free his bride, who is,
Hmm.
excuse me, caught in the new China. Um, and we find out that they had a baby, and now Death is leaving her side once again to go track down this baby. Um, there are other things at play. The U.S. is essentially broken into 7 different countries, states, and whatnot, and they all have their own dandy affiliations and whatnot. So, um, getting into the second volume, we get to see some treachery amongst these chosen
Hmm.
few that lead each country. Um, let's see. We get introduced to Ezra, who is kind of the keeper of the message, and even transforms into the message, um, by one of these beings that he opens a wormhole to and whatever. But this
Yeah.
treachery happens, and like he's holding on to it, and like it somehow morphs into his hand, and it's crazy. Later on, we see that Conquest actually saved him from the pilgrimage, and kind of raised him
Hmm.
back in the past life. And then we get to see Death meeting the Oracle,
Yeah.
who
That was really
they
cool.
took her eyes a long time ago, and and then we get to see this Prince John, who
Yes.
has 13 other brothers, um, and they're all viable for the throne as long as they're the number one uh, John
Yeah.
of the Union, or not the Union, but the Republic of New Orleans, I think it is.
Hmm.
Um, and then we get to see the Horsemen visiting Babylon, and Death approaching Wolf's father to find out what they actually did with his son, at the
Yeah.
end. So it's crazy. So
It
how did you
is.
like the second volume?
Well, again, like it's an amazing read. Like chapter after chapter, there's so much dense world building done. We're still being introduced to like the Rangers. You know, like the. I mean, they're basically you know, just trying to latch onto so much new information. I just see them as the Judge Dredd of this universe.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, and like the glasses and like the it's almost like a mustache breather
Mm-hmm.
thing. Very
Mm-hmm.
cool. Again, like there's so many new characters still being introduced. The prince is very cool. He's like the swashbuckling Han Solo, but as a prince type character. Very cool.
Oh yeah.
Or I should say Londo, maybe. Um, Yeah, there's still so much stuff, but I did have a moment at some point. I saw like 10, chapter 10 or issue 10 come by, and I was like, you know, it's like all these characters are in such fantastical places on such fantastical, mysterious journeys that we don't really fully grasp. And then whenever there's a new development, it's a bigger mystery that we don't understand. And we're like
Mhm.
10 issues in, and on the one hand, I'm like, wow, it's really cool that he's given the time to build this out. And on the other hand, I'm like, if I'd be 10 issues in and I'm still like, I don't understand anything, I think I would have dropped this series, you know? But the
I
fact that we
feel
get to
like
read
that's
it
going
in
to
big
continue
chunks,
for this next trade.
yeah.
So these first three trades are the first year, and like I feel like at that point all the world building is done, and then you're kind of going forward with the story. So
Yeah, I
for
hope
sure.
so. Because I mean there is development, but it's like when they go and they go into that pit to find the oracle, and it's such a cool scene. And like the next issue we're with the prince, and it's a new character, and it has nothing to do with any of that, and it's really cool. Like I really enjoy that character and that scene. But it's like, are we also going to talk about Westworld today, or
Oh yeah, for
because
sure.
I feel like they're using these lost Westworld type storytelling where one episode doesn't necessarily continue on the next one, but the preceding one, like they
Mm.
skip, and it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
very effective and it's very cool. But at the same time, because I've just watched a whole season of Westworld, I'm a little bit like, okay, I just want to follow this one character and just kind of find out what the
yeah,
hell is going on. And
yeah,
there's so many characters, so it's a good thing that we're reading this in trade. That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
for sure.
think like if I'd have to wait 10 months and I'm still like I don't understand. I don't know. It's
Oh
cool,
yeah.
but I don't know. I think I would have dropped the series. I would have just
What
been
what's
like, I can't
crazy
wait
is
for
like
this.
this series works so well in trade form.
Yeah.
Um, I can't imagine following it issue by issue, because it drive you mad. Because I want to say there's probably 4 or 5 blank pages just to transition from scene to scene. And like
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the thing that drives me the craziest. Is so much blank space not utilized, except there's so much story that's packed into every issue that's like
Yeah.
it's it's wild to think that you could have
I
more
think
but
it's
it gives you
okay.
just enough that you need.
Yeah. That blank space, like those. I mean, there's pages where just not much happens, and it's like, I think that's actually okay. Like it's nice to have those pages because
It
when
gives it a little
the
room to
story they
breathe and
are
everything.
telling us, I mean, there's the House of Mao, and there's the New Orleans, the Republic, and there's like Texas is off, into its own kingdom, and it's like there's so much geopolitical stuff that they're telling you, and then there's the apocalypse and the Four Horsemen and like all that stuff I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like
Hmm.
there's plenty of stuff in these 10 issues, so I think it's okay for them to have these breather pages.
Hmm.
And like again, like the designs for everything is just so cool. It's just so cool. So I'm not
It's
complaining on
really
that
good.
front. I'm just like there's so much mystery, and then there's more mystery, and it's
Oh
like,
yeah, it definitely falls into that trope of Lost where it's like
yeah,
you want so many answers, but right now all you're getting is questions upon questions and more questions. So
yeah. But Lost drove me nuts with that, like where every every episode had that cliffhanger
hmm.
ending, and then the next episode was something completely different, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
like that's not why I'm here. You know,
yeah.
they
Man, that
always
sixth
did that
season was
skipping
really
thing.
rough, is because like they started giving you answers, but it's like these aren't the answers I'm looking for. Like
No, oh my god, I still really love the sixth season. I just
you
will
what?
for the sixth season was still cool. I just wish they had ended it on a cliffhanger rather than those last 10 minutes at the church. That's all.
I vehemently hate that sixth season. Like I don't consider
No,
it
it was.
anything worthwhile.
I still found myself completely engrossed with these alternate timelines.
It's
I,
fair.
I really still, I was still like completely, you know, I saw the same
It's
like in season 4 or 5 where they went to the 70s and we saw all the
mhm.
Dharma stuff. Like I thought that was really cool stuff.
Did you watch Watchmen at all by chance?
No, I haven't. I haven't. It's because I never
It's
enjoyed the
interesting
comic
to
book.
see how much better of a storyteller these guys have become.
Hmm.
Watchmen's so worth checking out.
I've
But
heard very good things about the TV
hmm,
show, and I'm sure the
uh,
movie is good too. But the
you've never
comic
seen the
book
movie
just
of Watchmen? Have you ever read the Watchmen?
I have read The Watchmen, and it
Okay.
just didn't grab me.
Hmm.
Like I know it's considered like like one of the greatest
I
superhero
mean, we talk
films of all.
about East to West being dense, but like Watchmen is insanely dense. Like it
Yeah,
throws
it's.
so much together, and like
I'm not a
one,
fan of
you
the
have
art.
an
I'm not a
incredible
fan of the coloring.
storyteller saying it, like putting it all together, and then you have Gibbons who is challenging himself and have such a masterful artist touch. Like it's crazy that those two collided in such a huge project. Um,
Yeah, I can. I mean, I can appreciate Watchmen, but like the art and like the story, just it never. I've tried. It just doesn't appeal to me. And
I
the
think
same with
for the
watching the
movie, it
movie. I
worked
think
so
the
much
movie
better for
looks
me,
the
and then
part.
the show
Yeah.
really tied
Yeah.
everything together really nicely.
Okay.
So.
I might give the show I might give it a go. I've heard very, very good things. Um, yeah. But it's kind of crazy that, like, I mean, how old is the movie now?
15? No.
No, is
Like
it
12 or 13?
years
No, it
old?
might only be 10. I think it's 10 years.
Oh my God. Time is
Yeah,
flying.
I think it's 2009 or 2010. So,
Wow. Well, I guess they did. Snyder did that movie before Man of Steel,
300.
which is also okay, yeah,
Yeah, he's great at having things to work from. I don't think he's necessarily great at telling his own story, but like if he has
has he
stuff to
has he
choose
ever?
from, um, I want to say before that he did, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
Hmm.
Now I'm intrigued. Yeah, Watchmen was 2009.
Yeah.
Um, so jumping from that to another HBO series called Westworld. Did you finish it up then?
Yes, season 3. Oh my God.
Okay, so massive spoilers. If you don't want to know anything about Westworld 3, duck out now
Yes,
because we're
please.
just going through it for sure. Um, these first two episodes like insanely hooked me. I was like, we're talking about Watchmen and how dense it is. Like Westworld is
Hmm.
insane how much they pack into an
Yeah,
episode, and like I was only able to get through 2 episodes a night because it was just so draining on how much you had to remember and like everything they were putting to the forefront. The first season's phenomenal. I love the first season. It's got this memento type storytelling where it's like
yeah,
it's jumping all over the place from different characters perspectives, and it's just a insane watch. Season two
yeah.
kind of fell apart, like got way too pretentious, and like they weren't
A little bit.
explaining anything for the most part, and then I feel like three rectifies that and brings it around all together as a very cohesive story at this
What
point.
is it like? I want to hear like what are you like? What did you find for like pretentious and all that about season 2?
I think like they were just so glorified with their own mythology that they've built up about themselves, like uh, they couldn't be stopped, and to have this robot rectify everything and like humble them in a way that more of them were popping out, like Maeve, like, and they couldn't get a hold of it. Uh, I think they were trying to get ahead of the story where they wanted to be, but needed to be for this third season.
Yeah, I do feel like 3 in a way felt a little too, or 2 season 2 a little too rushed. But like what the ultimate purpose is behind the park, um, like I thought that whole like what they were actually building. and what like the science fiction behind it was just I was just like, wow, I can't believe we're actually going here. And those
Mhm.
white drones, the Guardian drones, look so cool.
Hell yeah, they do.
Um, yeah, and the fact that the whole season, I thought it was a little, the way they told it was a little too fragmented for its own good. Like the way it's actually told from the perspective of Bernard trying to remember everything.
Mhm.
I think it was a little too fragmented for to be really enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it. But season three, the fact that they're actually going out into the wider world and they're showing us the future, I was like, I'm totally in. I was
Dude,
like,
even more
yes.
than that, I think the most enjoyable part of this entire season was the fact that they brought Jesse Pinkman on, and like he cast such a huge shadow. Like every time he was on screen, he elevated whatever scene he was in, so insanely. Like he's on a different caliber than everybody else on that show, and like
So who's this guy? Which
oh,
actor is it?
Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad. I can't think of his name.
Oh, he the human soldier type guy
Yeah, yeah,
who's in with Dolores.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now I've got to look up his name. Let's
But
see.
yeah, no, I just love like the fact that they're actually out of the park and then they just they showed us the future and like these competitors and like these all these companies and like what all this AI and like the parallels between the hosts in the park and the humans in the real world dominated by AI. It was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. I
Oh,
thought it was
Aaron
just like,
Paul. Aaron Paul's the dude. Uh,
yeah.
the way everything's masterfully woven,
Mm,
is just insane to me. Like I was seeing through lines and like my daily life that was just crazy to me. So in season three, you kind of the first episode's finding Aaron Paul. Dolores has made it out in the world, and she has copies, or she has other robots under her service. Um,
yes.
and it's not till about the fourth or fifth issue or episode that you see that she's actually cloned herself and put them in these new bodies, and like they all have their role to play, and like that's crazy to imagine because they're trying to take down a predictive machine that
Yeah.
kind of isolates that and like puts everybody in their neat rows and lines and gives them their own destiny, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And then you have these outliers like Aaron Paul who kind of want to tread their own way and, for lack of a better word, fall off because the system finds a way to control them even after they've broke everything crazily. Highly suggest checking out Westworld season 3 is what we're talking about. Definitely check out the first season for sure. Um, but yeah, and then you see them going to the old
Oh,
machine that they built. These two brothers built together to find out a protective measure to take down the new new one, and it's crazy. So yeah, we were just talking about it, Jazz, that season 2 kind of gets a little pretentious and messy, but
I
season
loved it.
3 brings it back around and like makes it
Yeah.
so incredible. So
I still loved season two, but it's you really like with season two because it's so because of the storytelling, you really have to pay attention.
yeah.
And I found like season three was a lot more sequential
Mm.
and so a lot easier to digest. But because of you don't know exactly who's who, like we had our own theory about Dolores and some of the other people around her. I actually thought they were some of the other hosts from the park, and then at some
Yeah,
point it's
so
no,
did I.
they're copies, or are they? But now they're changing into the roles, and it was like, oh my god, like it's so
Especially
sci-fi,
when they showed off the
Like,
samurai dude from the second season, I was like,
yeah,
oh, they're the hosts that she brought back. Like she was able to grab
yeah,
three or four of them and Hale and everything. And like when they announced that they were who they were, it's like, damn, this elevates it to a different level. And like
So good.
you see her as this terror as she's implementing this plan and like moving all these pieces. But like that last episode when everything falls into place, like it's insanity. That like she changes from villain to good guy to who knows what in
Yeah.
like the blink of an eye for sure.
And Maeve as well. I was also like,
Yeah,
what is she doing?
it's crazy how well they're able to play and dissect the different characters, um, and they're just essentially living their own lives. So
Yeah.
so good, so good. I'm
Yeah.
so glad
I
you
can't
pressured
wait
me to
for the
watch
next
it.
one.
And like,
Yeah. No, but it's oh my God. It's so well done. And also like the callbacks to the earlier seasons and what's his name? The actor is Neil Harris, I think. The man in black.
oh yeah, yeah.
William.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Like
It's
his
it's
but like
crazy
his whole
how it takes
character, you
all
know.
of their characters and just puts it right on their head.
Yeah. But also like how it like I think it's really awesome that we get to see him sane in the real world, but in an asylum.
Yeah.
Like it's everything is just so well done. I love it. Great show.
Uh, season three was so great that I just want to go back and watch the first two seasons and then rewatch
Yep.
this one again. Just
Yep.
because there's like these little pieces that have been sprinkled throughout, like you get so much more context from. So
Oh, another really brilliant touch was the whole Heckle and Jekyll and Hyde thing
Jekyll
with
and I.
Bernard, with the
Oh
switch,
yeah.
right?
Oh my
Which was
god.
explained in season two with Anthony Hopkins. And it, but like that whole character setup and how they continue on that line and how he learns to use that for his own benefit. So good. Yeah.
I didn't even realize that was explained last season. So now I've got to go back and watch them.
Yeah.
Um,
There's Anthony Hopkins has this point where he's basically too sensitive of a soul as being a copy of Arnold, but he needs to do some of the dirty work. And so in order to perform himself, they have
oh
that
man. And then how
switch.
Bernard ends this season like sent chills
Yeah.
down my spine. I'm like, I'm so ready
Yeah.
to see what's going on forward. So for sure. So then next week, you want to read volume three then for East of West?
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
Anything else you
Of
want to do
course.
for next week then?
Well, what are we watching now? I don't think we're actually. We're watching Mr. Robot season 2, which
I've never seen that, but I've heard it's really great.
season. I mean, the thing. Okay, in a nutshell, Mr. Robot is a retelling of Fight Club.
I'm gonna have to watch it
However,
now.
the person who plays Edward Norton, so to speak, um, is schizophrenic, and he knows it. And the whole story is being told by him to the camera, which is us, the viewer, who he considers to be in on it, but another fragment of his psychosis.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
It is. But the thing that the thing that really hooked me in the first season is that there's audio visual storytelling throughout the series besides this, the story and what it's actually about and like the revolution, just like in Fight Club and all that stuff. But the audio visual storytelling with the sounds and the music and then Rami Malek as an actor is just fantastic. It's just fantastic. So you
All right.
should watch it for
So
that.
yeah, I'll check out the first couple episodes, see if it hooks me, and then I'll burn through the first
Okay.
season for sure. We got 2 minute warning. So once again, I'm Ox. You can find me here. This is my channel, obviously. YouTube, Twitter, um, Twitch. now, the Samurai Ox, but I'm Samurai Ox on Twitter and YouTube. You can check me out. You can check out last week's video over on YouTube now. I'll be
Yes.
posting this next week alongside all the stuff we're showing off. Jan, where can people find you as well?
If you want to check out my art, you can find me as Yanimal here on Instagram, on YouTube, if you want to catch up with the going-ons of my indie comic book, Phosphor.
Highly suggested, because his coloring work he's doing on his own comic is amazing. He's also
Yes.
got his own WordPress site that he's got up and running, showing off and cataloging the different pages for sure. I've got my Patreon redone, so if you're into stickers, check these out. The $5 tier got these, and then a $10 tier will get you these three, and then this holograph one for sure. Check all that out. We'll be back next week talking more East of West stuff, as well as Mr. Robot now and everything we got going on in our art lives. Thank you. We appreciate all of you, and we'll check in with you next week for sure. Peace.
All right.